Good evening, I'm Adrienne Arsenault.
And I'm Andrew Chang. Tonight, big promises and big money. The government unveils its post-pandemic manual.
We need to punch our way out of the COVID recession.
700 pages, billions in spending. The first budget in 2 years bets big on working moms.
I was a good professional. What I'm able to do now, maybe change diapers and watching kids.
And confirms a record deficit.
This budget does next to nothing to secure the Canadian economy.
Who's in, who's out, and what you can expect to see coming your way. We'll go through it all.
Also tonight, as doctors battle a third wave, a huge cell service outage affects critical COVID care. And fury over the pitch to create a soccer super league.
It will kill the game. It will totally kill the game.
It's just greed, you know.
Even Prince William is peeved. This is The National.
Your government plans to spend like no Canadian government has ever spent in peacetime. Today's budget, the first in 2 years, outlines more than $500 billion in spending.
And it aims to address some of the inequities laid bare by COVID-19, chief among them the child care burden on working mothers.
This is going to be an enduring investment in making it possible for parents and especially women to participate in the labor force.
There's spending on Indigenous health and safety, new money to help young Canadians. Homeowners can get interest-free loans for green retrofits. But what you won't see are plans for national pharmacare or a universal basic income.
From the plan to build back the economy to the politics behind it all and what today's promises mean for you. We have all the angles of this historic budget covered with our team tonight. And of course, we brought in At Issue for a special Budget Day edition. But we begin with David Cochrane, who spent the day studying that big budget document. David, what stood out to you?
Yeah, Andrew, it's the first budget in 2 years, the longest budget in history, and it spends big on getting through COVID and trying to launch the recovery. It's the first federal budget in Canadian history delivered by a working mother, and Chrystia Freeland went big on childcare.
Here is our goal. 5 years from now, parents across the country should have access to high-quality early learning and childcare for an average of $10 a day.
By next year, the goal is to cut daycare bills in half outside Quebec. The overall price tag, $30 billion over the next 5 years, $8 billion a year after that.
First, we need to conquer COVID.
On that front, an extension of the wage subsidy and the rental subsidy until September. The Canada Recovery Benefit is extended by another 12 weeks. Plus, there's a new Canada Recovery Hiring Program to subsidize payroll for new hires and increased hours until November.
We must punch our way out of the COVID recession. That means ensuring lost jobs are recovered as swiftly as possible.
While dealing with the COVID crisis, there's billions in spending and tax credits to deal with the climate crisis and create green jobs.
Job growth means green growth.
The cost of this spending is enormous. A $354 billion deficit last year, $154.7 billion this year, $59.7 billion the year after. The debt will nearly double to $1.4 trillion by 2026.
Unfortunately, this budget does next to nothing to secure the Canadian economy.
The Conservatives say this is just running up debt without giving people real help. But Freeland does target needy Canadians. There's a new $15 federal minimum wage, increased tax credit for the working poor, and a boost to old age security by 10% next year, starting with a $500 payment this summer. Enough for this budget to survive a minority parliament.
But it is clearly irresponsible to have an election or to in any way trigger an election while we're in the midst of this third wave. The impact on people would be devastating, and we are not going to do that.
Okay, so David, clearly childcare, the centerpiece of this budget. How quickly can it be ready?
Yeah, they want it pretty fast because the goal is to cut bills in half by next year. But, you know, all of this depends on the provinces coming on board. And right now, there are still a lot of questions to how this is actually going to work. The key thing, Andrew, is that the federal money is on the table. Now, the key players need to sit at the table and see if this can all work.
Okay, David Cochran, thanks for all this.
You're welcome.
So let's get right to the reaction from Canadians who see themselves in those 700 pages. A $10 a day childcare plan is certainly welcome for many Canadian parents, especially women who've been disproportionately affected by the pandemic economy. As Jacqueline Hansen tells us, COVID-19 has pushed childcare from a social issue to an economic priority.
Vem, Manuel.
For former journalist Amanda Aron-Shimanovich, the cost of childcare was her career.
The child care now is not affordable.
She says care for her two youngest children is simply too expensive, $3,000 a month. So she cares for them full-time instead.
What I'm able to do now, maybe change diapers and watching kids. And this was not like this before. I was a good professional, and now I feel that I am stuck.
Over the past year, as school, childcare, even help from family and friends has been restricted, more parents have faced the choice to care for their children or work. Federal data on who's applied for the Canada Recovery Caregiving Benefit shows that in every province, more women than men have stepped away from their jobs to care for their kids.
Now, after COVID, we have a wealth of data that demonstrates to us the strong relationship between childcare and ability to work.
This economist says COVID has changed the debate about childcare from whether it's necessary to how it should be funded and structured.
Childcare as economic infrastructure has become a consensus view.
Like most centers outside of Quebec, this one in Toronto relies primarily on parent fees to operate. But enrollment has plummeted during the pandemic by 70%.
The level of enrollment that we're expecting for the summer, again, is very, very low.
The director says the extension of the wage subsidy is a much-needed lifeline, and the National Child Care Plan potentially life-changing.
It's been so overwhelming the past year, and yet the possibilities of a quality universal system leaves me with such a sense of optimism and a reason to continue in the field.
For Aron-Shimanovich, $10 a day care can't come fast enough.
It would be really good if I can, I don't know, take some courses and move on with my life.
Move on and be part of Canada's recovery. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, in today's budget, the government paired the plan to transition businesses out of the pandemic with a plan to tackle another crisis. As Cameron McIntosh shows us, for businesses across the country that have faced a year of COVID's financial punishment, the budget brought a mixture of hope and skepticism.
Dining room's closed. Dining room's currently closed.
Aaron Bernstein isn't so focused on building back better. He just wants to build back.
Oh yeah, these have become like the main part of our business.
His Winnipeg deli doing mostly frozen food and takeout. Federal wage and rent subsidies have helped him stay open, but he's had to cut staff.
They're bringing in a whole new program called the Canada Recovery Hiring Program.
This budget offers businesses like his $600 million to hire back employees and create new jobs when the pandemic allows.
It is nice to know that there will be a program for that. I'm just not sure that the timing of the program will actually align with reality.
Meanwhile, the government will also continue its wage and rent subsidies until September, possibly as long as November, but will reduce payments to wean businesses off. This Toronto theater has relied on that help.
You just hope that that will level out with when we actually are, ramping up again.
Coming out of the COVID crisis, the Liberals also want to tackle the climate crisis. $17.6 billion for a green recovery, an effort to cut emissions to 36% below 2005 levels by 2030. A lot of the money is targeted at heavy emitters, not directly at renewables.
I do think it's a missed opportunity.
Still, the CEO behind Canada's largest solar project says this will create jobs.
It also creates tremendous economic opportunities, in innovation, and it's something that I'm very excited about.
Now, of course, more than anything in the actual budget, getting people working depends on getting COVID under control as the third wave grips much of the country. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The spending seems designed to appeal to many groups of voters. There's a luxury tax on high-priced cars, boats, and aircraft, a tax on vacant property owned by foreign non-residents, and starting next year, a new tax on the revenues of large digital companies. There's money for tourism and for Black and other underrepresented entrepreneurs. The E.I. sickness benefit grows to a maximum of 26 weeks, up from 15. And mostly starting next year, there is money to improve long-term care. Okay, so let's turn to Chief Political Correspondent Rosie Barton to go through all that. Rosie, there is a lot there, and I'm wondering what strikes you about this budget.
Adrienne, that's it. I mean, that there's a lot of spending, a lot of measures, and it's designed to please a lot of people, both Canadians who have been hit hardest by the pandemic, to be sure, but also Canadians the Liberals need to win an election, young people and women, childcare obviously a part of that. There are also measures here that have been heavily borrowed, let's say, from opposition parties, making it difficult for them to vote against or campaign against even. The $15 minimum wage and childcare, both things the NDP has campaigned on in the past. The Conservatives promised a mental health strategy a few weeks ago, focused on job creation. That's all here. The budget is obviously a response to the pandemic, but make no mistake, this is all the beginning of what an election campaign might look like, whether it's now or much later after the third wave.
Okay, so as you say, obviously about the pandemic, but what is the rationale for so much spending?
Yeah, it is a huge amount of money at a time when the economy is already growing and recovering on its own. The government believes the money is needed now to get the economy going. Here's some of what Chrystia Freeland told me earlier today.
We are 460,000 jobs short of where we need to be. And for me, getting Canadians back to work is urgent. I don't want people to have to wait 10 years, which is how long it took for us to return after 2009.
The government obviously here, Adrienne, too, understands that Canadians don't want to talk about austerity right now. They want to get through this and feel supported by the government, and they're going to take advantage of that here. We're going to talk all about all that and a little bit more on At Issue later.
All right, Rosie, we'll be here.
Okay.
Let's turn now to the pandemic story tonight. You can see signs of a COVID surge right across the country, but what's happening in Ontario is unprecedented. Compare the last wave to the one we're in now, and you can see how Ontario's daily cases are at an all-time high. COVID deaths, though, are a different story. This wave, experts credit vaccinations of the elderly, especially in long-term care, for keeping average daily deaths relatively low. But in the past few days, they've suddenly jumped 60% as patients continue to flood into ICUs. That's forcing desperate measures in Ontario. There are plans to shuttle dozens of patients out of Toronto hospitals into nearby regions this week just to make space. But Ellen Morrow shows us there's one policy that a chorus of experts all agree could help, and so far, it isn't happening.
A chilling sign of Ontario's descent. A field hospital racing to open as the province's healthcare system teeters.
It's so emotionally exhausting to call young folks and letting them know that their parents are dying.
Those hardest hit now, this doctor says, essential workers.
They're going out there risking their lives for us, and they're the ones who are getting sick.
Getting sick with no paid sick days, a measure rejected again today by the Ontario government.
Will the government do the right thing? Reverse course and actually implement the measures that the experts have been telling him are necessary to save Ontarians' lives.
Our government has been following the recommendations made by the Medical Officer of Health, the Science Advisory Table, and others.
But expert
support for essential workers.
After expert
from having to make a choice between, paying their rent or putting food on the table.
After expert,
so that people can afford to stay home if they're sick.
Have all said paid sick days are crucial, including the government's own advisors who say the message is not getting through.
I think that we can't be any clearer. This is not a problem at the sending end. This is a problem at the receiving end. We need to stop having political considerations guide this pandemic.
This grocery store worker is sure she caught COVID on the job.
Everyone is really feeling this physically and mentally and emotionally, and we don't have any support or resources.
Despite the loud calls from experts and the deepening crisis, Premier Doug Ford is not budging, but he's not alone. Only 2 provinces, Quebec and P.E.I, offer the benefit.
Why not just do this now? It'll probably save the province a lot of money because now we're having to pay for patients to be transferred to different hospitals. More and more people are getting sick.
With so much more sickness expected to come. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
On Prince Edward Island, a child under the age of 10 is one of 2 people currently in hospital because of COVID-19. Officials say the child is in stable condition but has been placed in an isolation room at Queen Elizabeth Hospital. The province now has 13 active cases, with the majority related to travel. Officials implemented new border restrictions today, including a pause on visitors from outside Atlantic Canada for at least 4 weeks. There's tragic news in BC tonight. COVID-19 has claimed its youngest victim yet in the province. As Susanna De Silva shows us, this death comes as the province clamps down on travel to deal with record hospitalizations.
It is a true tragedy, and it's a reflection of the impact that this virus is having across our communities.
One of the latest victims of COVID-19 in BC is also the youngest, a child under the age of 2.
Though this child had pre-existing health conditions that complicated their illness, it was the virus that caused their death.
A stark reminder of the worsening situation in BC hospitals that today prompted the province to move beyond current recommendations not to travel.
And there will be consequences if you are outside of your area on non-essential business.
The province promises people will be checked when traveling between health regions, calling them random audits, similar to drunk driving roadblocks with no extra police powers. But the order and many of the details won't be announced until Friday, and after consultations with racialized communities.
This is not heavy-handed in my mind. It's random, and it will be done in a way that includes everyone at a particular place at a particular time.
Similar checks will also happen at the BC-Alberta border, along with signs telling Albertans they aren't welcome. Tourism operators are asked to cancel bookings for anyone outside their area, while BC Ferries will stop taking bookings for recreational vehicles.
I wish we had taken the chance to avoid variants of concern establishing themselves in BC in the first place. I think we did miss the boat on that. But I do think the best we can do to curb their transmission now through our own individual actions around socializing, also through restrictions on travel.
Also today, the bans on indoor dining and some fitness activities were extended another 5 weeks. Officials hope 2/3 of adults will have their first dose of the vaccine by then, and the province's pandemic situation will have improved. Susanna De Silva, CBC News, Vancouver.
Now, Canada's vaccine rollout has reached a major milestone. The country has administered a total of 10 million doses of vaccine. It took 52 days for Canada to give the first 1 million shots. Now we're doing 1 million doses every 4 days. And as millions of Canadians over the age of 40 raced to book AstraZeneca vaccine appointments today, with several provinces lowering age requirements, CBC News has learned the federal recommendation on AstraZeneca is changing. Christine Birak breaks that story for us tonight.
The recommendation for who should get the AstraZeneca vaccine is changing again. Documents obtained by CBC News show NACI, a National Advisory Committee on Immunization, plans to announce tomorrow the AstraZeneca vaccine may be offered to people over 40 in areas where COVID-19 activity is very high, which it defines as 6 or more daily cases per 10,000 people. But most provinces aren't waiting for the official guidance.
Previously, it was restricted only to older Manitobans, but now will be available to everyone 40 and up.
Same goes for Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario, and British Columbia. Experts say the rare blood clot risk associated with the AstraZeneca vaccine is now much more clear.
You have a much higher probability of something bad happening to you when you drive or you walk across the street than you do getting these vaccines.
Researchers examined the medical records of over 500,000 COVID patients in the United States. They found the same rare blood clot, cerebral venous thrombosis, or CVT, occurred in 39 out of 1 million patients. In Americans who've received the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, it was reported in 4 in 1 million. And the European Medicines Agency has estimated the risk of CVT after the AstraZeneca vaccine is 5 in 1 million.
That should give people enormous confidence that we are truly monitoring these things. And it's not just, get the vaccine and shut up kind of scenario.
Okay, and then we'll vaccinate.
This pharmacist counsels anyone with concerns about the AstraZeneca shot, but
People are becoming more aware of the fact that 4 in a million is a very excellent safety profile for a medication.
with more contagious variants driving cases, this man in his 40s is tired of waiting.
I think it should have been done earlier, but now that it's open, I want to get my vaccine as soon as I can.
In some provinces, the risk from this virus is rising by the day. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
Final results in Yukon's election tonight came when a tiebreaker was decided by a drawing of lots. The NDP candidate won the riding of Vuntut Gwitchin, but that didn't solve the other tiebreaker issue. The seat count after last week's vote stands at 8 Liberals, 8 Yukon Party, and 3 for the NDP. Plenty of politics to come there, but the incumbent Liberal Party will get the first crack at earning the confidence of the legislature.
Well, after 2 weeks of emotional, often painful testimony, now Derek Chauvin's future is in the hands of the jury.
The former police officer accused of killing George Floyd awaits a verdict, and so does the United States.
This wasn't policing. This was murder.
Next, Susan Ormiston brings us the mood on the streets of Minneapolis.
If we can't get justice here, it would be disheartening to everyone all over the country.
Harnessing social media to help you find a vaccine.
And remember hugs? Reunions down under that will warm your heart. We're back in 2. Welcome back. Lots of Rogers Wireless customers were not happy today, left without phone or text and internet service on and off for hours. For this to happen during a pandemic meant serious repercussions. And as David Common tells us, it was only this evening that some people started to get back online.
As if any of us needed something else to fall apart, today it is cell service. Rogers, both wireless voice and data, down intermittently across the country, complicating the day for millions working from home.
What we're seeing with this is it's demonstrating to us just how fragile the system really is.
It is far more than an inconvenience, with Ontario COVID patients being transferred far and wide. Receiving doctors couldn't be contacted. Critical care physicians trying multiple numbers just to reach anyone in their patients' families.
Instead of a spouse or a child, you might be speaking to a cousin who's then got to kind of play broken telephone to pass the message on.
911 not down, but unable to call out. Toronto police, among many forces across Canada, telling emergency callers do not hang up. Finally, more than 12 hours after it began, Rogers announced it had at last identified the root cause, a failed software update, promising to restore full service over several hours. It couldn't come soon enough. David Common, CBC News, Ottawa.
Former U.S. Vice President Walter Mondale has died at the age of 93. Mondale served under Jimmy Carter from 1977 to 1981. He was the first VP to occupy an office in the White House. He made his own run for president in 1984 and became the first major party candidate to have a woman as his running mate. But ultimately, he suffered a crushing defeat to Ronald Reagan. His family says he died in Minneapolis, but they did not specify a cause.
Well, Minneapolis is a city on edge again tonight, with the case against former police officer Derek Chauvin now in the hands of the jury. Whatever they decide about his role in the death of George Floyd could have explosive consequences, reaching far beyond that city. Susan Ormiston walks us through today's closing arguments.
Behind barricades and razor wire in a city frozen with fear, Derek Chauvin's murder trial nears its end.
We were told, for example, that Mr. Floyd died because his heart was too big. The reason George Floyd is dead is because Mr. Chauvin's heart was too small.
George Floyd was...
Prosecutors summarizing their case to the jury described Chauvin as a controlling cop without compassion who deliberately pinned Floyd under his knee until his dying breath.
He stayed on top of him, continued to push him down, to grind his knees, to twist his hand, to twist his fingers into the handcuffs that bound him.
Drawing a line for jurors that it's not a trial against all police, just against a bad cop.
This wasn't policing. This was murder. The defendant is guilty of all 3 counts.
Civil rights leaders like Jesse Jackson and others here in Minneapolis to witness a verdict for George Floyd, a powerful symbol of a brutal pattern of policing in Black America.
This country must come to terms with those that feel that blue uniforms makes them above the law and blue jeans makes them subject to the law.
In his defense, Chauvin showed his face, maskless, when his lawyer counseled the jury there's no crime if an officer used reasonable force given what he knew at the time.
You have to look at it from the reasonable police officer standard. You have to take into account that officers are human beings, capable of making mistakes in highly stressful situations. Officer Chauvin.
But on the street, the expectation is that Chauvin must pay for cruelty.
That is not an intent to purposefully use unlawful force.
Mike Myers was outside the court, listening, watching, and waiting.
If we can't get justice here, it would be disheartening to everyone all over the country who's African American and have no expectation of justice.
And Susan, there was one last important moment at the very end of court today. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, after the jury retired, the judge weighed in on comments by a Democrat congresswoman here this weekend who said if there's no guilty verdict, demonstrators like this should get more confrontational. That kind of interference, said Judge Cahill today, could be a gift to the defense if they choose to appeal, an indication of the tension here, Andrew.
Okay, lots of people waiting and watching. Susan Ormiston, senior correspondent in Minneapolis tonight. Thank you.
Up next, today's budget contains $500 billion in spending.
And you can bet At Issue has some opinions about that. Rosie is here with Andrew, Chantal, and Althea to weigh in. Plus,
will kill the game. It will totally kill the game.
The footy change that has everyone talking in the UK, even royalty.
Some will say our sense of urgency is misplaced. Some will say that we're spending too much. To them, I ask this. Did you lose your job during a COVID lockdown? Were you reluctantly let go by your small business employers who were like a family to you, but simply could not afford your salary any longer? Are you worried you'll be laid off in this third wave?
Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland inside the House of Commons defending some of the big spending put forward in today's budget. It's her first budget, and as we've said all day long, the federal government's first in over 2 years. So is this the plan that Canadians need right now? Will the opposition parties buy in? Sounds like it, but let's see. We're some of them anyway. It's Monday. I'm back with a special edition of At Issue. Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, Althea Raj. I'll start with you, Andrew, on the spending side. Is this too much for right now, or is this what's needed for stimulus?
Well, if you read the budget and you listen to that quote from Chrystia Freeland, you'd wonder whether this was April 2021 or April 2020. She's using the past year when everybody agreed the government needed to increase spending in enormous amounts to try to keep people whole, to justify future permanent spending that's got nothing to do with the recession, nothing to do with the pandemic. If you compare this budget to the fall economic statement 6 months ago, they're proposing to spend $20 billion annually, basically in perpetuity, more than they were previously projecting. If you compare it back to the budget of 2019, 2 years ago, the last budget, it's $50 billion more annually. If you could make an argument, at least you can disagree about it, but you could make an argument about whether you're going to propose to spend $100 billion more on stimulus at a time when the economy is growing slowly. And again, the government sometimes talks that way. but its own numbers belie it. The economy is actually going great guns right now. It's projected to grow even faster in the next year or two. They don't need the stimulus. So what they've done is simply ditched the label and kept the spending. They've repurposed it to spend on all kinds of other things that Liberals have wanted to spend on for years. And there's this lingering echo of, well, this has got something to do with the pandemic or something to do with the recession. And it quite clearly doesn't. It's got a lot to do with ideology and even more to do with the oncoming election.
Okay, Chantal, your thoughts, because you could also suggest, I might say, that it's addressing some issues that have been exposed during the pandemic.
And that main issue would be childcare. Really, I don't think the pandemic exposed the childcare issue. I believe it was always there. And Andrew is right on one point. They are spending like a government in surplus when they are running record deficits. But to the election point, 270 measures. I don't know about you, but I've never seen a federal budget that was 800 pages long and had 270 measures. How could you not please someone with 270 plus measures? This is the kind of budget that no one is going to want to campaign against. And I'm guessing that's the main point. As for the childcare issue, it is the biggest federal investment in childcare that we have seen. But that investment does not happen unless provinces buy in. Not all provinces will buy in, and none will really buy in a way that creates childcare spaces before Canadians go to the polls.
Okay, Althea, your thoughts on the size of the spending and whether it's needed?
It's a whole lot of money. I think where you stand on is it too much or is it not enough really depends more on your ideology than anything else. And frankly, I'm of two minds, like I'm on so many political questions. But I agree with Chantal. I think that, one thing, and that we mentioned this during the budget special, but Minister Freeland has staked her credibility on getting childcare done. She's repeated this as a promise as a working mother, as the first female finance minister. And in the budget, it says it's going to be a 50-50 split. Now, the provinces, knowing that Minister Freeland has staked her credibility on this, who is going to agree to 50-50 split? No, Ottawa's going to have to fess up a lot more money than they think, I think, to get this plan done. I would also say that one thing that is remarkable is how this budget document, for the 700 plus pages that it is, close to 800, it really lacks transparency. There is no prudence fund, that contingency fund that we used to see.
Yeah.
Not there at all, even though in the introduction of the budget, it says that the forecast is highly, it can fluctuate. Private sector forecasters are all over the map. They know there's a high degree of uncertainty. Still, with that warning, there is no prudence fund in there. I was speaking with Scott Clark. We're each allowed to have an expert in this virtual lockup. He used to be the ADM, several ADMs at Finance and the DM there, and he was telling me that he would give this budget an F on prudence, a C on transparency, and a C on whether or not it's realistic. Because the Tories used to mock the Liberals, with Justin Trudeau, for saying the budget would balance itself. This budget, the only way they get to where they get at the end is because it balances itself. The growth far surpasses the program spending, and Minister Freeland still has not said whether or not she believes that the government should get back into the black, or if they plan to run deficits forever.
Okay, but speak to the politics of it, Andrew, because part of this is now that we are dealing with a Conservative leader who said he's not interested in balancing the budget for the next decade, or doesn't think it can be done. It becomes difficult to see what they go sharp on here and how they attack the government on this.
Well, I can't speak for Tory strategy, except I can say, talking about balancing the budget in 10 years when the government itself, even with all of its spending, is projecting it to be close to balance in 5 or 6 years. 1% of GDP is not that far off. I think they may need to want to revise that. There's a lot that the opposition could do that doesn't amount to quote-unquote austerity. For one thing, there's a serious need that the government has not addressed for a growth agenda. The only way we're really going to deal with our long-run deficit and debt problems is not in, the short term is only the half of it. The longer term is much more pressing. And it's not just pressing at the federal level, but at the provincial level, where they're dealing with healthcare costs that are going out of, they're already at 50% of their revenues or nearabouts. So we need to get the economy on a much higher growth track. It's only going at about 1.5% of GDP per year in the GDP right now. There's a lot of measures you could talk about that will be controversial, but that will be different and will change the subject from just, are you in favor of spending everything the Liberals want to spend it on? So that's point one. Point two is, I think there's a serious debate to be had, not about the necessity of daycare or childcare, but about which particular model you want to pursue on it. The model that the Liberals are pushing, the Quebec model, is one that has particular benefits, but particular costs and particular disadvantages, particularly if you don't work hours, for example, that match those of the daycare operators, or if you prefer to put your child in a different kind of daycare than the ones that the government is pursuing. I think it would be very good to have a large debate about that as a country, particularly when the government is proposing to plunge the provinces into an enormous fiscal commitment that, frankly, when the provinces are crying for healthcare funding rather than a completely new shared cost program.
Okay, Chantal wants in,
About the details on childcare, it depends on the provinces. I don't think that there are many parents outside Quebec who have kids in childcare who would argue that they are not paying enough or that they would like to have more money in pocket. That has been tried and failed. So at the end of the day, you can have this discussion, but I don't think we can have a discussion about the shape of childcare in a federal election, in the sense that it is essentially a provincial issue. So the federal government is putting all that money in the window. The people who are going to be on a hot seat on this are not going to be federal politicians saying we're willing to give money to get that done. They're going to be called Ford and Pallister and Horgan and Legault. That is where it is. Now, there is a reason why the most popular social program in Quebec is the Affordable Universal Childcare Program. Not enough spots is the issue, not an ideological or a battle over, I would rather have my kids in this and that.
Last word to you, Althea.
I don't think any political party is going to be campaigning against childcare, especially considering that the Liberals are not getting rid of the monthly childcare payments to get there. Childcare is immensely popular. It is a crisis issue in many urban centers that are swing ridings across this country. That is just not going to happen.
Okay, you guys, thank you. Thank you for coming in on Monday. Guess what? You'll be back still on Thursday. Doesn't mean you get a pass on Thursday. So we'll talk then. For now, though, it's back to Adrian and Andrew in Toronto.
And the hunt for a vaccine can be complicated in many provinces.
But a group of volunteers wants to help. The story behind the vaccine hunters and how they might be able to help you.
And a glimpse of post-COVID hope, long overdue reunions in Australia and New Zealand. Welcome back. Moments of joy were shared in New Zealand today as the country welcomed travelers from Australia without the need to quarantine for the first time in more than a year.
We're happy that we get this opportunity to spend time with family now.
It's amazing. I have no words. I'm just so grateful that I could come back. I'm like shaking right now.
We're very emotional. I haven't been back for so long. It's just fantastic.
Airports filled with all sorts of hugs and teary-eyed reunions as hundreds of passengers took advantage of the relaxed restrictions. Australia has allowed New Zealanders to enter without quarantine since last year. However, the reciprocal arrangement has faced a whole bunch of setbacks. Now, airport hugs may be a dream for many Canadians, but we have a story to give you some hope tonight. A group of young Canadians has been volunteering their time on social media to help people find a vaccine. They call themselves vaccine hunters. Kayla Hounsel explains.
Good girl. Andrea Curry was thrilled to hear Alberta is lowering the age of eligibility for the AstraZeneca vaccine to 40.
Never been so glad to have passed 40 in my life.
But like many Canadians, she found getting an appointment wasn't easy, so she turned her attention to Twitter and Vaccine Hunters Canada.
I just said online appointments available at this pharmacy, and then it had a screenshot and a link. So I clicked on the link and then we were booked.
I kind of just found it online. It was pretty organic.
27-year-old Joshua Calpin got involved after he used the service to book appointments for family members. He's a software developer and now runs the site with 3 other young people.
We're trying to facilitate Canadians helping each other get vaccine appointments.
Here's how it works. Anyone, anywhere in the country can share information about available appointments, and Vaccine Hunters will share it on their social media channels. They also try to point individuals in the right direction. The Twitter account is exploding in popularity, with well over 90,000 followers, many of them signing up after news of AstraZeneca's expansion.
It was literally a party on Twitter last night. We had a vaccine party.
Today, their work even got a shout-out from a Saskatchewan member of parliament.
I'd say to every member in this house, visit @VaxHuntersCan to see the good work that is being done in each of your communities by these outstanding young Canadians.
Some suggest the government should be paying the vaccine hunters. Not necessary, they say.
We're doing this because for the good of the country and to help the country. And that's reward in itself right now.
Andrea Curry and her husband will be vaccinated within a couple of days.
I just say a heartfelt thank you. I think we all owe you, a debt of gratitude.
She says for her family, it was a valuable tool to help Canadians take one more step toward normal. Kayla Hounsel, CBC News, Halifax.
Okay, well, a proposed new soccer league is prompting quite the outcry in the UK. Next, why the so-called Super League is so contentious. Welcome back. Europe's biggest soccer teams have pitched a controversial plan to play amongst themselves. It sparked outrage among fans, including Britain's Prime Minister and even a prince. Here's Tessa Arcilia.
Passion runs deep among fans of the beautiful game. And today, shock and fury as they learn of one of the biggest potential shakeups in European football.
It will kill the game. It will totally kill the game.
It's just greed,
12 of Europe's top clubs have agreed to start a breakaway European Super League. The plan? A guaranteed seat at the elite table, where there is no danger of demotion to a less prestigious league, no matter how badly they play. At stake, the potential to make big money.
It effectively removes the principle of competition and meritocracy from sport. The relationships that clubs have with their communities, with their fans, and indeed with their players.
A sentiment echoed by cab driver Ram Ismail, who is also director of Enfield Town Football Club, England's first fully fan-owned team.
Absolutely distasteful. When you look back in history, football was created for the working man.
A new elite league, he says, sends the message to small clubs like theirs that they've been left behind.
Because it breaks up that dream of a small club can climb the leagues and become a Premier Division football club.
Prince William, a huge football fan, is the latest to weigh in. He watched his own club climb the leagues last season. He says now more than ever, we must protect the entire football community from the top level to the grassroots. Football governing body UEFA, the Premier League, and the British Prime Minister himself joined the chorus of condemnation.
We're going to look at everything that we can do with the football authorities to make sure that this doesn't go ahead.
Here at Emirates Stadium, Arsenal fans could soon take in games from this new league. Those defending the plans say the Super League will bring together the world's greatest clubs and open a new chapter for European football. But if and when that chapter kicks off is anyone's bet. Tessa Arcilia, CBC News, London.
We have seen plenty of pandemic creativity. Well, next, a kind of drive-in you've probably never seen before. And it sounds pretty good, too. Our moment is next. The pandemic has put a damper on singing. Choirs and singing groups have been kept mostly silent after a choir was linked to an outbreak early last year. But tonight, a bit of pandemic creativity, courtesy the Vancouver Thunderbird Chorus. So you've heard of barbershop. How about carbershop? Here's our moment.
We came up with the idea of this, giving everybody a microphone
wiring them into a soundboard, running the output through a low-power FM transmitter, beaming back to the FM radio in everybody's car, and then people can sing along. So it simulates as close as we can the experience of singing together on the riser.
I'll be your baby, baby, truer than the one you knew.
It was pretty emotional for a lot of us because, you know, this is a big part of our life. We're a little bit obsessive about harmony, and the fact that it was missing for so many months, there were a few tears in the group when we were first able to do it. It was a really great experience.
That's cool.
It is very cool.
That's cool.
It's a very good life hack for that. They said they tried Zoom, but because of the latency, the harmonizing just wasn't working. And if you know anyone who's in a band and has tried Zoom, or maybe live with someone who is in a band who's tried Zoom, you know exactly how bad that sounds.
Can you imagine, though, stumbling upon a parking lot, seeing 19 cars singing barbershop quartet, or what appears that way anyways. I'll say it again. That's cool.
It is cool.
That's the National for this April 19th. Have a great night.
Good night.